Hi, everyone. First of all, happy Friday and happy Diwali. For those who are celebrating, my friend Ivan just wished me here. So I just, I have to wish him back and the audience as well. Welcome to the weekend episode of VCTV, which is a venture capital TV from La Token. This is the last episode of the week. Just of the week. So we have speakers from all over the world, as we always have, and this is a special episode of VCTV, considering it's very festive out here in Singapore, in India. I'm sure a lot of things happening, even though there's a lockdown. People are still celebrating Diwali. So great. We are all set. We have Irina, we have Gary who is joining us as well, and we have John from Geek. And last but not least, Ivan is finally back to India after traveling all over the world. So today's topic is about investments and pivots in blockchain for cryptocurrency and fiat money trading. Very relevant topic for today, considering Bitcoin is going up, and going up. Great. Before I start talking to my speakers, I'd just like to introduce myself. My name is Sunny Mohanty. I'm the regional director of La Token. I'm based here in Singapore. I host their shows every day, Monday to Friday. We have 2 shows in a day in Asia. I go live at 8 p.m. Singapore. My colleague Terence in Malaysia, he covers different timings, but Monday to Friday as well. So that's the beauty about VCTV. VCTV, as I said, VCTV is because of you speakers, always very much committed to attending and speaking. We have regular speakers and new speakers all the time. Today, I have seen all familiar faces, and I'm very happy to speak to you all again. Having said that, I'm set with all my introduction on VCTV. I like to jump straight into the speakers. I like to start with Ivan. Hi, Ivan. Happy Diwali again to you. I know it's like a lot of celebrations happening around you, and today is the Choti Diwali and Mini Diwali.
Yes.
And so what's happening?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, happy Diwali to everybody watching first. Hope everybody's having a great festive times. It's the Indian New Year tomorrow, as what they say. I had a Diwali celebration at my house just a couple nights ago with all my friends coming in. It's a pretty festive season, and that's why I'm here also for these 5 days. I actually fly to LA on Sunday. Today is actually a very special day, as we were just saying. It's Dhanteras. It's this tradition that's been going on for centuries in India, where people buy gold today because it's supposed to be a good day to buy gold, and it's supposed to be good for your success. And a lot of people do it. It's like it doesn't matter how much you buy, but you just buy a little bit. And what I'm telling people watching this, I think we should flip the tradition on its head and buy digital gold. We should all buy Bitcoin. I think it's everybody's seeing. I'm double happy, not just because of Diwali, but also because of how crypto market is growing so much. It's a great time to be alive. But yeah, I mean, it's a pleasure to be here, Sony. Thank you so much again for inviting me. I had a lot of people DM me last times I've spoken here and coming back to me with interesting stuff to foresee later. So yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, guys. A short introduction about myself. I'm a serial entrepreneur and angel investor. I build and invest in fast-growing technology companies. My incubator fund, Startup Studio, we look for non-tech entrepreneurs, and for the right idea and the right entrepreneur, we build companies with them from the ground up. We provide them resources, we provide them money, and we provide them expertise. The combined market cap of the companies that we have built and invested in is billions of dollars. We have tens of millions of users in dozens of countries. And yeah, I'm also very heavily involved in blockchain and cryptocurrency. I've spoken at hundreds of live events, what I actually miss. Have previously run a crypto investment bank, have taken multiple projects to market, and have delivered great returns for our investors. Please, yeah, hand off to the other co-speakers today.
Excellent. Thank you, Ivan, for that introduction, and welcome back on VCTV. Next, I'd like to go and introduce John. Hi, John. Welcome to VCTV. I remember that you were on our show a long time back with the team of Geek. Now you are on your own. So please help introduce yourself to the other speakers and the audience we have today. Thank you, and welcome back to VCTV.
Thanks a lot, Sunny. I appreciate it. Yeah, so my background is I'm a professor of economics at Vanderbilt University in Nashville. I've been interested in information communication technology economics for probably more than a decade. Before that, I worked in telecom. I spent some time at Belcor back in the 90s. But I've been interested in this intersection between technology and economics in various ways. So originally I worked in game theory, and that got me interested in blockchain. The game theory and blockchain is interesting, to say the least. And so trying to discover mechanisms that work more effectively has sort of been the focus of my academic research, and now it's become practical in the form of the protocols we develop for Geek. And so through that, I've also gotten into the finance side and the monetary side and the use case side. So that's where I'm at.
Excellent. I would like to know more about your investments that you've done in Geek, and also being a founder. What's happening in Geek? Obviously, I read a lot of articles. Our audience would like to know what's happening with Geek as well. Thank you, John, for that introduction, and welcome back to VCTV. Next, who I have? Oh, Irina over here. Hope your speaker is working, Irina. Welcome to VCTV. Happy Friday. How are you today?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, very much.
Yes, it worked. I love that when things don't work, just unplug and replug. And for the most part, it fixes things. And so that's great. Pleasure to be back. Thank you so much. I'm doing great. I feel like it's been ages. I mean, it's been 4 days since we talked. Yeah. So such a pleasure to be back. My name is Irina Litchfield. Many know me as a crypto superwoman. I'm founder of Blockchain Cube. The Blockchain is a blockchain consulting firm. We do technical integration and other blockchain consulting strategy and everything else that's associated with being in a blockchain. Also, I'm president of Lumeria. Lumeria is where capital meets innovation. We work with growth stage companies, and I'm actually excited to announce too that because of the recent news in US securities law, we actually can start working with earlier stage companies, which is really, really great. And it's a big deal. What happened in the last week in securities laws here in America is really big deal. And I think it's one of the bigger, it's exactly what we needed to be able to democratize opportunities for earlier stage companies, investors, and and also entrepreneurs. It's such a pleasure to be here. I mean, this topic of discussion, financial technology and blockchain and innovation, for me has been something that's just been driving me for 15 years. Not the blockchain, but financial innovation and payments, and what does fiat mean, and the transfer of it and all that. So I've co-built a bank. I've done a lot of different things in my life. And my business always have included something to do with financial innovation.
Great, thank you, Reena, and welcome back to VCTV. I just have to make a small announcement. Carol, Gary says that the Zoom link shows as of yesterday. If you could just send him the link again. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. So yeah, great. We all set with introductions, and I would like to start with Ivan. So basically, this is your strength: cryptocurrency, trading, payments. So let's start with the free flow of information sharing session. I don't want to go hard and fast on questions. Ivan, please share the trends that you've seen since the beginning of this year when the lockdown happened. All of you are panicking, this is going to be really a worse year in the history of humankind, and economy tumbling down. Things look very, very bad, especially.
I mean, to me, it never really looked bad at all. I mean, to me, it was always like this was an opportunity. I mean, I'm an opportunist, and I find opportunities everywhere. And that's what they say: when there's the most blood in the streets, there's the highest potential. And you just look at the past, right? I mean, in the last recession, that was a smaller recession that's going to come now, 2008, 2009. We see it Airbnb, WhatsApp, Uber. So the biggest unicorns of today started from that recession. So I mean, as an investor, we have funds sitting aside that I wanted to invest in opportunities, and I did capitalize on a lot of opportunities. So I think it's been yes, overall there has been a lot of suffering, but there's been so much money that's been pumped into the market. We haven't really seen the real suffering yet. That's still yet to come. I mean, for the most part of it, a lot of the people are being paid salaries to stay at home. In the US, people are getting $1,200 checks. So, I mean, the way I see it is there's not that much suffering that has been realized yet from the recession. That suffering is yet to come. But on the upside, there's been so much US dollar that's been printed to sustain this and keep pushing the economy forward. I mean, look at the stock market, right? It's better than where it was at the beginning of the year, almost at that point. So you haven't really seen any crashes per se. There was a lot of crashes that happened, like companies like airlines, cruise companies. They saw big losses, but they got huge bailouts. And now you would see just this week itself, airlines have seen 20% plus bump, right? So that's a huge growth to see back. So all the losses are basically wiped out now. And for crypto, it's been a blessing. I mean, it's been a blessing one after another blessing, right? I mean, from where we were in March to where we are now, that's 4x almost. So it's a great kind of results that we've seen in the market. So for me, it's hard to see people suffering right now because all my friends who are in crypto have gained. I have capitalized on a lot of opportunities, and there is just so much money that's been pumped into the market. But yes, the repercussions of this is going to come eventually, right? I mean, just so you guys know a fact, the US dollar is 200 years ago. All the US dollar in circulation today that's out there, over 20% of it was printed this year, right? Over 20% of the US dollar in circulation out there right now was printed this year. That's 1 out of every 5. So that's a big deal. And this currency has been out there for 200 years, right? So that just makes you wonder, where is this coming from? Where is this? What is the value behind all this? There's no value behind it, right? And that's what's basically pushed Bitcoin's growth, is people realizing that. And I think it's been great. So for me, like the trends have been like positive from everywhere I look at it, right? And I think it's even in a global scale also, people are realizing that they cannot depend on fiat currencies that well. We're seeing fiat currencies around the world crashing down, and that's pushing more people to understand, and that's pushing more opportunity to provide more financial inclusion, right? It's providing us opportunities to take that technologies that we have built and give that financial inclusion to those people too. So for me, it's been a great ride this year. That's what I would say. The only sad part is it's been less entertainment. So that's the only downside.
Yeah, that's true, because the lockdown, we can't travel cross border. That's the downside of the pandemic. But as you rightly said, a lot of things have changed since mid-year till now. So thank you, Ivan, for sharing that opening note with our audience. Next, I'd like to go to, Gary just joined. Hi, Gary. Welcome to VCTV. I finally see you in my lobby, in my Zoom lobby. Happy Friday.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Great to be here.
Welcome to VCTV. We're done with the introductions of other speakers. For those who may not know Gary, please, quick introductions about yourself. Thank you so much.
My name's Gary Fowler. I'm a serial. I see some of my friends here. My name's Gary Fowler. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've done 16 companies. I invest. I love artificial intelligence. I'm writing a lot about it. Now over 90 articles that I've written. And I've had 2 unicorns. And as I said, we love AI. I have a venture studio called GSD Venture Studios that curates companies to go global. So that's us. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary, and welcome back to VCTV. This is the weekend episode of VCTV. Thank you, guys. We all set with introductions. John, I would like to ask about your insights in the industry. Obviously, Geek had a huge launch this year, and a lot of success for Geek, the entire team of Geek. So I would like to know, what's your thoughts about cryptocurrency, fiat money trading, generally the investments around this area?
So I think Evan made some interesting points. There's just a flood of fiat currency that's out there. And the things that I was taught about how macroeconomics works and how inflation and how it would stimulate the economy, these kinds of fiscal easings just don't seem to have the impact that they used to. There's something like $40 trillion worth of total currency out there in one. And it seems that we can just print more and nothing happens. It's sort of incredible that the models we have don't seem to apply anymore. There are reasons. There's a shadow banking sector, and it just doesn't have the same kind of linkages that we used to have. But that means that fiat money seems to have a more limited ability to do things in a social way, to stimulate economies, to generate business activity, and so forth. But they're out there. So how does cryptocurrency fit into that? But I think cryptocurrency is by design disconnected from these kinds of national governments. And so it doesn't have that kind of possibility of these direct macroeconomic impacts. So what it is what money is supposed to be. Money is meant to be an medium of exchange, a store of value, a unit of account. And cryptocurrency is maybe going back to the original intent of what money was supposed to do. So if you're interested in exchange, I think cryptocurrency may be the future. If you're interested in policy, it's not really clear where to go because money is not money anymore.
Great. Thank you, John. Yeah, I really like the points that you mentioned. I quickly want to move to Arena because she launched her Bitcoin crypto exchange back in 2002. Oh, 12.
Yeah, there was no Bitcoin in 2000. Well, yes,
No.
there was. Yes. Well, I think the first thing we must clearly define that not all cryptocurrencies are actually that which is Bitcoin, right? So Bitcoin is cryptocurrencies are not Bitcoin. And so often people confuse them and then they make mistakes because they're starting to, invest in those that are centralized. Now, in full disclosure, if Satoshi did come alive right now, Bitcoin would also become a centralized cryptocurrency, right? That's the truth, and nobody knows. There are hypotheses. Do we think that it's going to happen? No, but it's still a possibility because that's the remaining fact. And we must think about facts when we're thinking about cryptocurrencies. So at this point, we have a lot of centralized cryptocurrencies which do not serve because again, they can be printed at the will. They can be, a lot of manipulation can happen in the same way as central banks can manipulate the fiat. So, but Bitcoin, Digibyte, and a couple others are doing great job in making sure that they provide these opportunities and kind of create truly decentralized platforms for people that can do what they need to do. Also, remember too, Bitcoin is extremely volatile, and we do love it for its volatility. It is not stability that drives people to Bitcoin, to be clear, right? And it does have the internal design of inflation, okay? So it's designed to have a halvening, and halvening is a very important key indicator of growth cycle. And it has been the one indicator. We can think of all kinds of things, but we are in post-halvening world right now. And, as soon as we get to the all-time high, it's going to be a fun ride, right? So when we get there, we don't know. Sooner is better for me.
Sure.
And for everybody who does that. But I think that's very important thing and clarification that we must say when we speak about cryptocurrencies, because again, there's a lot of big push in centralization of cryptocurrencies. And there's a mistake that kind of leads people to that. And the problem with that too is that when those people who are new to the industry, to it, and they go and they try to experiment, because there's all this coupling happens, they end up not necessarily going into Bitcoin, but buying and starting to trade, and it becomes something that maybe they get involved that they didn't understand, and for the most part, it does not work out for them, right? So you have to really know what you're doing. So I think concentrating on Bitcoin or making sure that it is decentralized platform. Again, Digibyte is a great, truly decentralized platform that actually has a founder who is alive, right?
Nice.
And it's amazing because that founder does not make decisions about what happens with Digibyte because simply he does not have enough voting power or he doesn't have enough digis. That's all. Like it's just designed in that way. So I think that we must start thinking about that. And that's where I leave it.
That's great points. The founder doesn't have the control. That's good. Thank you so much, Irina. Gary, I would like to ask you a slightly different question. Do you think dollar is losing the battle to cryptocurrencies or the digital currencies, the CBDCs? I mean, what do you think?
I mean, so what's the dollar based on, right? So it isn't a fiat currency per se. It's not, there is no gold behind it. It's based on the belief in the dollar and the belief in the system. And so when you get in these kind of scenarios, and what did somebody, I seen Evan was saying that 20% of the money was printed this year. So, I mean, there are challenges. And yet at the same time, a lot of the world is based on the dollar, right? Most of it. So at some point, yes, at some point it'll happen. When exactly that'll happen, transition. The problem is China's invested in the T-bills. There's been investment all over the world in the dollar. And if it went down today, it would have a dramatic impact on the entire planet. So at the same time, you've got all this volatility with, with the cryptocurrencies, right? And I happen to have invested quite a bit of money in one of the, a lot of money in one of the cryptocurrencies. I mean, it's up and down and in and out. So although I think Bitcoin's what, 16,000 or something today.
Yeah, today.
Yep.
That's correct.
Yeah. So, it's going to happen over time. I mean, we're transitioning to this new world, but it kind of equalizes things a lot. It opens up for doing a lot of transaction, but on the same time, I don't know if you read the article, Sonny, I wrote in blockchain and quantum computers and the cybersecurity threats that are out there now. I mean, let me tell you, these things are going to really change in terms of being able to grab your, digital currencies. I mean, it's a concern, actually. Right. So I had two of the top security folks on my show last week, and we were talking about it. And I think that that it's a challenge. It's a really big challenge because now nothing's going to be safe. And I'm not sure I want to I like holding money. I got to tell you, Sonny, I like feeling $100 bills. They make me feel really, really good. Because one thing I know is I open up my wallet and I got them in there. And the thing with the crypto, seriously, and I have had a lot, we invested quite a bit of money in it. I just get nervous, especially when I start writing articles about cybersecurity and quantum computers and cryptocurrencies and blockchain.
Okay.
I mean, for me, it's not to stop you here, Gary, but I was just going to say it's the opposite for me. Like, I don't like to carry cash because I'll lose it. I mean, I'm always been somebody who would rather keep digital cash and like not have anything in my pockets. Every time I have cash, I finish it by the end of the day. It's gone. Like, well, I mean,
you know something, Evan? I like having a lot of cash. I got to tell you, stacks of it. It just makes me feel good. Honestly, sometimes I like to smell it.
I'm with you, Gary. And look, guys, still remember that cash is the ultimate anonymous way to kind of express and connect yourself with the purchases. You can trace cryptocurrency quite well, right? And also, Ivan, I do agree with in some points with what you're saying, but remember, most of people who are in a crypto have lost. They have just lost, okay? And I'm sure you have also lost some cryptocurrency or some of it been
a lot.
Right, a lot. And it's just part of it. Every single day, people lose keys to Bitcoin, okay? And it's gone, poof. never gonna come back. It's gone, it's erased.
Irina, I just heard one of the guys on one of the shows was telling me, what do you have, 1,000 Bitcoins? And his computer, he lost his computer.
Wow.
Seriously. He had 1,000 Bitcoins on it. And I mean, I was like, I actually felt for him when he told me about it. It made me sick to my stomach, and it wasn't my computer.
It's easier to lose $1 million.
You can't lose that much cash.
I think.
He did.
Bitcoin has a better argument here because it's easy to lose cash. Like if I have my phone and I have 100 Bitcoins here, I'm happy. I know I can do whatever I want. I can land up wherever in the world using packs full of local Bitcoins. Instantly, I have cash or money in any local account. And yeah, this phone is $1 million right now. It can be 10 million, right?
Unless your phone gets hacked.
No, but
yeah. I mean, the thing is, that's the other.
Cash. It's easy to hack cash, though, right? I mean, if you send me a nice girl, she can just take the cash away.
I love this discussion already.
I think it's easy to hack cash, really, because it's untraceable, like you said, and you can't really protect it using private keys. You have to have actual lock.
Carrying million cash with you. For sure.
Yeah, exactly. You can't show up in a new country. Let's say you're in where are we calling from? London, and you want to go to a new country. You can't take that kind of cash with you. But with Bitcoin, you have that ability. It's in your phone, and it turns into cash at any moment, any time, anywhere in the world. Maybe with a 1% to 2% fee. But in the long run, that is negligible.
So Bitcoin is a great flight capital. So that's what it works very well. And that's what we're seeing, right? Is that if you need to flee, you have more chances to transfer a key with you.
I mean,
right?
even to just store.
But it has nothing to do with the cash, right? Like with what Gary is saying. And remember, guys, still, just a reminder, the best way to launder money is still through cash.
Right, that's absolutely true. Yeah. But it's a trade-off.
No
right?
idea about that, but yeah. Okay.
And the problem,
I mean, but it does, Evan, you got to admit, having a stack of $100 bills in your hand doesn't feel bad at all. You know what I mean? When you
that's
look at
sure.
them,
I mean,
it's limited. There's a limited set of things you can do with $100 bills. I can maybe buy a car, but I really can't buy a house. I can't buy a building. Nobody's going to take that much cash.
Well, you can, John. They do it. John, they do it in Russia. They buy. I just asked Irina in Stavropol, right? They take suitcases of cash, seriously, and that's how they buy their houses.
And in Texas, you do that in Texas all day long. Okay, you show up. A lot of transactions happen with the cash.
Seriously.
Texas.
I've actually been offered. I was offered an investment of 3 million euros in a suitcase in Milan, which I refused because there's no way that if I hadn't had any ethical problem with it, there's no way I could have taken that and brought it to my bank and used it in a meaningful way. So to me, it wasn't useful investment, and so we just didn't take it. But it's a trade-off. I think that you're both right, Evan. I think that if you have crypto, you're protecting yourself. It's traceable to an extent, but really only if you're sloppy and only to an extent. You're trusted in your ability to technologically manage your keys, keep track of them, and so forth. That's very reasonable. On the other hand, if you've got cash, you're really holding this at the sufferance of a government or an institution or a bank. And if things are going well and everything's above board, then great. Your $1 million in the bank is something you can transfer and use. But if the government decides that you're not the right person, or there's some legal thing, or tomorrow your funds could simply be shut off. Bank of America doesn't have to give me my money. I just hope that they do, because so far they have.
I mean, I've had
they can do that with your cryptocurrency too.
No, but the crypto, they have to control it.
They can seize it and they can trace it. If the government is coming after you, there's no way to hide.
Yeah, but I mean, see, if they want to, like, it's a lot easier to seize Bank of America. I've had an issue. I was an investor in a cannabis company in the US in 2014, ease.com. It's a really big company. It's worth $500 million now. They're in 100 cities around the US, and they're doing really well, right? And Bank of America blocked my funds, claiming that I'm dealing with cannabis. I was like, that makes no sense. I'm an investor in a tech company that delivers cannabis. It doesn't grow it. It doesn't. It's got nothing to do with and it's doing it legally. I mean, it's a legal startup. There's Snoop Dogg invested $10 million with them. Like, you didn't block his accounts. So, but I was an Indian citizen, so I had to go through a lot of hassle to actually get my money back and unlock my account. And then able to I had credit cards in the US to be able to pay for those cards. I had to get access to my accounts. It was a huge mess. So I mean, today I don't have the faith in the systems. I would love to be the one running the bank. So I'm all about launching new financial products. I would love to be the one who's owning the bank, but I do not believe in the systems. I would rather keep my money in crypto where I control it and I can see it with my phone. And to me, it's very flexible. I mean, I'm used to making payments in all different countries with all different payment methods using a service like Paxful, right? You go on there and there's hundreds of different payment methods and you can pay anywhere in the world any time, and it just cuts over your Bitcoin account at the market rate. Obviously, I believe that if you're somebody who cannot take the volatility, then obviously this is not something for you right now, because in some extent, yes, you could also keep USDT, and there's products like now Celsius, which are even in that case you have to do your KYC, so you are tracked, and they do control your crypto. But there's products like that which are still better than a Bank of America, I would say, because those are mobile friendly. They're mobile first. They're very user friendly, and if they get block your funds or something, that's not never happened with me. But if they do, I'm sure they're responsible to the users on social media. So I think products like Celsius giving you 12% interest on your USDT or USDC. So even those are better options than I would say than a bank today, because I would just prefer that any day. To even make a transfer from my bank right now, so in India, I have a person who sits in my office just to make the transfers, right? That's how much of a hassle it is to make a bank transfer. And even in the US, to make a transfer, it's like a 10-minute process. You have to upload all these details. You have to put 100 details, right? But with something like Paxful, I go on there, I put my Bitcoin in escrow and just copy paste the details. And then that guy deals with all the hassle of making that payment for me. So to me, like it's going to take time until we reach that level where Bitcoin is far more accepted, but we are seeing progress. I mean, look at PayPal, right? That's great. That's 350 million people that are going to get access to using crypto and on a day-to-day basis. So I think moving towards the right direction, but and I'm betting on crypto over cash any day right now.
Great. John, I just wanted to ask about when it comes to digital money, crypto or digital cash. So security is the most concern when it comes to, your accounts getting hacked. You lose a lot, as Irina rightly said, you lose a lot in crypto and people have lost. So I think Geeks, one of the objective is to make this system very robust, right? I mean, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of ways. So we have something called, Geek is what's called a stabilized coin, which I think is unique. And so it's a middle ground between a stable coin and a free floating coin. Stable coins, for various reasons, are basically impossible. Ultimately, they're based upon trust. If you want USDT, you have to hope that the assets that are held in banks in Singapore and Shanghai are available when you want to cash your fiat out. So if you're really depending upon a fiat peg, you ultimately interact with the fiat world, which means ultimately you interact with the SEC and the US government, because they really control the banks at the end. So other reasons stablecoins are problematic. Volatility, though, is very difficult. If I want to make a long-run contract to, say, settle a logistics issue that's going to be paid in 6 months, 40% volatility in the currency I'm paid in is unacceptable. I can't run a business that way. I can't plan to produce if I don't know I'm going to get paid. So our stabilized coin policy uses this algorithmic monetary policy, which is what governments, if they were well run, would like to do. And what it attempts to do is to alter in a systematic and transparent way, the amount of the currency that's unlocked. And so if the value goes up, there's a programmed amount that is entering the market. If the value goes down, there's a programmed amount that's taken off the market. And this prevents sort of low volume, low information speculation from having dramatic effects on the price of currencies. So this is one thing that we're trying to do that I think is unusual. The other thing is that's really Evan. I think Evan Arena, you all really have your fingers on the difficulty here. There's no perfect solution. You trust the government, but you have legal redress. It's protected for you. You don't have to worry about it. The currencies, you have to have your keys. You have to know how it works. You've got to find people to accept it. You can lose them and so forth if you're not careful. But it turns out, who do you trust? Do you trust yourself, or do you trust the government and the institutions controlled by the government? And it's, I do both. I have cryptocurrencies for some reasons. I have fiat for other reasons. And ultimately, I don't trust governments very much. But so far, most of my cash transactions have worked pretty well and pretty conveniently. But I don't know that's going to be true for the future, because there's this impulse of governments to control. There's a saying that bad cases make bad law. So you see some terrible use for cryptocurrency. Somebody bought heroin. Somebody funded child porn. Well, okay, somebody did that with cash too, but somebody did that with crypto. And then, okay, we got to lock it down. That's it. It's done. And so that's the risk, right? So we have to design currencies that are immune to that risks, to be truly decentralized and to not sort of have this connection back to the fiat sector. And again, that's a thing that we're trying to do at Geek.
Thanks, John. Gary, over to you, because John carries cryptos and cash, just like you, Gary. So we trust the government and the banking system, or do you think we're going to eventually lose that trust going forward?
You mean to not trust the banking system?
And
Well,
the
I mean,
government?
think about it. I mean, look at history. And then the Great Depression, right? The banks failed. So it's not that it hasn't happened in the past. And it almost happened again in the early 2000s, right? We were very close to, because of the derivatives and the status of the global financial system was near collapse. So it's not saying it's not going to happen. And it's not saying, by the way, that whatever you have is going to be valued at what it is, right? It's going to move around too. If there's a collapse, things move. So, I mean, from my standpoint, I have as much faith in it as I possibly can. Obviously, I'm diversified, but I also put, we put $5 million in crypto stuff, and some of it's good and some of it's bad. I mean, and you never know what's going to happen with it. So my situation is, keep diversified. It's about, I mean, it's life, right? You want to have your portfolio spread out. You don't want to just have cash in the bank. You want to have stocks, you want to have cash, you want to have real property, that kind of thing. So a diverse strategy is the way to do it. I mean, I just like cash. I happen to like cash. I don't know, it's because I just, I was a poor kid from Pennsylvania, and, we didn't have a lot of money, but I like Benjamin Franklin. Personally, I have a relationship with Benjamin Franklin in a good way.
Right. Great.
And the more Benjamin Franklins, if you got your twins or whatever, I love it.
So we know Gary loves cash. Irina, I just want to quickly ask you, cash, Bitcoin, or stablecoin?
Oh, I agree with the same as Gary, diversification. No stable coins for me. I'm not interested. Like I am not interested in stable coins at all. I do appreciate stabilization, which is really, it's a new thing that I heard, and I really appreciate what you guys are doing, John, because we need some sort of stabilization for some things, but the whole ringing of the stable this and stable that, it's a nonsense. Too many promises that when you dig into it cannot be right. So you have to hope and pray that they happen, and on the long term you cannot guarantee that stability, and nothing can guarantee that stability, right? Even gold goes up and down, right? So I love cash. I also love Bitcoin. I love Bitcoin, but I do think that we are finally at the point where governments really understand the benefit of a cryptocurrency, right? Because it's highly traceable. So, I mean, and that like that black market governments really, so we all remember Silk Road, remember what happened. I mean, government can trace all of those transactions back to people. It's really, really, really hard to wash the Bitcoin. Very hard to wash Bitcoin. I don't think it's anybody that wants to wash, they would do something else, right? And the reason I'm saying it is because governments understand that. They understand that now they can trace transactions back to the wallet, at least, right? And eventually they can trace wallet to the entity. And so it's exactly that single source of truth that actually is amazing and also takes away your anonymity. Now, we do have some privacy tokens, and I do believe that governments are going to really, once they kind of implement internal cryptocurrencies, those will be targeted quite a lot, because on the negatives, besides your privacy, which is a good thing, those type of currencies can be used for making really bad things happen in the world. And remember, at any time when we're looking at anything of value, we have to remember that while there's a benefit, there's also side effect. And so I love stacks of dollars. I love those $100 bills. I collect $2.
Oh, I just love it. I got to tell you, right from my heart, I got to say that.
Right. It just feels good. They smell good.
Oh my God.
So good. They're so crispy with their little texture,
Oh
like
my
I just
God.
love it. My kid loves it, right?
Right.
Like my kid, she has a cookie stand. So she has it's called Crypto Goodies. So when she goes to conference with me, she sells crypto cookies and little trinkets and stuff. And, she buys a little bit of a Bitcoin, but she loves cash, right? And I love cash. I love going and spending it. And really, I just like stocking it. I just really love the idea of it just being.
Oh, I'm feeling good now.
It just looks good, it's
Guys, you
feel it.
You should get
You
this.
know, so
We should go.
Right, but remember, so Ivan, I want to remind you about Michael Turpin. Do you remember what happened to him? You are
Yes.
running the risk of having this.
That's
just
okay. I'm okay taking that
evaporate.
risk.
Right.
I'm very diversified.
Guns cannot protect your, you can. The cyber hackers are coming at you all the time.
I'm a target. I'm a big target, anyways. I'm very
constantly have
flamboyant.
to raise with the cyber hackers,
I have a
and
very
with
glamorous
cash you
life,
don't need
people.
to
It's
raise
okay.
with high cyber hackers. So I think that diversification is the key. I think growing wealth and experience of life. And to me, the balance comes exactly through that, right? I love cash. I believe that integration into traditional systems, we're not going to overthrow anything anywhere, because overthrowing and revolutions lead to destruction. We're going to integrate, and we're going to evolve, and we're going to improve, and we're going to improve traditional banking systems through application of blockchain technology.
Look, here's what worries me. I'm sorry, Sonny, would you like to go ahead?
No, John, please carry on.
Here's what worries me. So in the US, at least, there are two major credit cards. US, there's Visa and MasterCard. There's one major ACH, the Fed, and there's a couple other credit cards and another ACH company. But between those three, we have about 90% of all non-cash transactions go through those three entities. And so that means that there's only three places you need to know how much liquor I buy, who I give money to politically, what medications I have. My entire lifestyle is summarized, and AI can discover who I am to the nth degree, comparing me to anybody else on the basis of three databases. And it's not that, I'm pretty boring, actually. There's not much that you could find out about me. But it's terrifying to me that no matter what I do to hide myself online or to be cautious, in the end, it all comes down to what I consume and where I work. And three companies know every single thing about me that's relevant. That to me is something that it's just open to abuse.
Hey, John, you forgot Facebook and LinkedIn and Google. And I mean, it's not just three, but let me tell you, It's a
I'm
lot
saying-
more than that. It's not just 3. It's a lot more than
Not
that.
if you're spending cash though, guys.
I'm talking
If
about
you're
my
spending-
finance.
A lot of my friends, a lot of friends who are crypto people, they spend cash only because they care about anonymity and they do not want anybody tracing them. And that's what they do. It's always cash. People that care about privacy, they understand that you spend cash if you do not want to know what your spending power is and how you spend your power.
It's just nobody's business. You know, that's what I think, at least.
Yeah. I think we've lost Ivan. Maybe he
Oh,
was
they
not-
came and got him. Hasta la
Yeah.
vista, baby.
All right, I've got a question. Whoever can take it. If cryptos get regulated, do you think the whole idea about decentralization, having decentralized currencies, is going to eventually go away? We'll have one. Okay, Rena.
So
Yeah.
that's really great question. I think that so I know that Malta right now is trying to figure out how to create regulatory infrastructure for truly decentralized platform. It's not the answer we have right now. And, I think that we often, regulators are people, and the governments are here to protect us. Those governments that are destable, there are bad governments, there are good governments, there are things where life, where you're not scared to go on the streets for the most part, and then there are places where you're really scared to go to the streets and you're running into, in a situation to where you might be dead every single minute and it's a high risk. But a lot of governments and people that work for governments, they're driven by good things, and they want to understand, they want to regulate. The regulators want to help for the most part. That's my interaction with regulators. It has been for years, but they need to understand what is happening because before they're going to try to come and regulate. I believe maybe it was Matthew, maybe, right? Gary was saying that I really think that that's the right thing to think about, is that you have to wait for something new to take course so you can learn about it. Because we all get our big heads with our promises, with our hopes, but we need to see how things play out before we can actually do something about it. We need to understand the benefits and we need to understand the risks. And with new things, it can only be done through trial and error. And so governments, I know Malta has been doing, I know there are a couple other governments that are trying to figure out, how does it work? How do we actually create and incentivize decentralized platforms to be the independent entity, so then they can empower that? And I think that's a dynamic modern leadership, and there are a lot of dynamic modern leaders in politics. Might not feel that way in America right now, but that's the truth.
Yeah. So Gary, you would like to add something? Because
No,
you
I
love
mean,
tech.
I agree with Irina. I mean, I agree with Irina. What can I say? I mean, we have the same viewpoint.
Right.
So
John,
I might have a different viewpoint. So I agree that there are a lot of people that are well motivated in government, and I've had interactions with the FEC, Federal Communications, SEC, and there's about 10% of the people there that are very hardworking, very smart, and really trying to do the right thing. Another group sort of is disconnected. But the problem is at the top, there's the political leadership. And in the US, there's big money in how spectrum is allocated and how spectrum is regulated. And try as you might to be honest and look for the public interest, Congress doesn't, at the end, really care that much how spectrum is auctioned. And so they're going to let AT&T and Comcast and T-Mobile influence those kinds of regulatory decisions. And it just slips between the cracks. It's not particularly evil. It's just, it's not on their list of priorities. With technology, though, going forward, if the technological cycle is that in 3 years, cryptocurrencies will be something entirely new, or Facebook will have a new technology to do things with AI to discover stuff and to limit communications. The technology cycle is so fast that even a very well-meaning regulator who is as informed as possible, I don't think that they have the ability to make thoughtful regulations before it's too late. You know, I look 3 years, I learn something, I say, that's what I should have done. But now it's something different. And that cycle is moving faster and faster. So I'm actually very concerned at how it is we make thoughtful and meaningful regulation, even if we are very well intentioned on all of these sort of new technologies. It's a problem. I don't have a solution to it.
Right. Ivan, we thought it's 1 versus 3 and we lost you there. Welcome back.
It's all good, guys. Sorry, the app crashed, the Zoom app, but I'm back here.
We haven't got you, Evan. We thought you were out.
I mean, I'm not against. I actually agreed what Gary said 100%. It's got to be diversification is key. I was saying that when I got cut off, and I mean, I can be very pro crypto because I'm very diversified. I'm in a safe place today. I mean, my family has properties in gold. They're very, very heavily diversified in different businesses, right? I mean, I have investments in shares in over 50 private companies, right? So, I mean, I have that ability today, but as an investor today, I believe heavily in crypto. So all the new capital that I'm making, instead of investing in startups that I've been doing for the last many years, today I believe Bitcoin is a better investment vehicle also. And it's been coming true up till now. We don't know what's happening in the future, but up till now this year, I mean, it's growing great. I mean, you're at a 4x from the lowest to the current price. So from my that's what I believe in. I mean, we're seeing a lot of people getting interested, and that only tells you that it's going to go up even more, at least in the foreseeable future. But yes, diversification is very, very, very important. That should be your first priority. I would not recommend anybody to go and invest 100% of their money in crypto and they don't have enough money to survive for the next few years. Keep that in Fiat for sure.
Great, fantastic. So anybody want to add anything? We just got 7 more minutes. It's a Friday. We would like to give our speakers time to socialize or, you know, meet their families and go out and stuff like that.
I would like to add something. I think that when, you know, we try to think of it sometimes in just really big pictures. And I do think that scares a lot of people that would like to get into the industry, and they think of it as an investment. Now it becomes an investment, invest. And for regular people, investments are scary. They're hard. They do not invest. I think that learn is a way better way, you know, just go and buy, like, if you're an American, buy $100 of Bitcoin, because if you buy it, you'll start understanding it. Instead of going and having a dinner,
difficult.
You know, just buy $100 of Bitcoin. Don't think of it as a speculatory investment. Just think of it, I'm going to do this because I want to understand what it is. And even if it goes to 0, it's fine, because I was going to go out to eat a dinner. And in the end of the day, we know where the dinner ends up, right? So that's all. We don't need to overcomplicate things. We need to encourage people to understand, because as we have regular people coming in and doing this, then we can have a foundational technology built to be able to actually handle this. Right now, because it's still so early, and we think so big, and we don't need to think, you know, there is an investment in diversification of your portfolios, but remember, most of people don't have portfolios, right? So I do like to encourage people to say, I don't even care if you have $5 million in investments, just go buy $100 of Bitcoin, and then you're cool because you know what Bitcoin is. That's all.
Exactly. Great closing remarks there, Reena. I really like that. John, you wanted to say something.
So 2 things, actually. I would hope that cryptocurrencies are ultimately not supposed to be an investment, but something we can actually use to transact. And that's what we're trying to focus on at Geek, to try to make it so that it's just trivial and easy, and in fact, easier and less expensive to use crypto for small transactions as opposed to fiat. Fiat has transactions costs as well. But to your point, I actually tried to buy some Ethereum. And it took me probably a full day of research to find somebody that would actually sell it to me legally, and to make that. It took me trying to make my bank make the transfer. That worked eventually, to try to get the wallet understood, and then my funds were locked for 14 days. So I'm a pretty sophisticated investor here, and it took me a very significant amount of effort to even get $100 worth of anything. So it's not that easy, unfortunately. So.
I mean, I agree with you when you say that it's hard, because there's a lot of misinformation out there, right? A lot of people who want to buy Ethereum end up buying something with Ethereum with a different E, and they get nothing, right? So that's happened a lot. It actually happens a lot in India. But I mean, now there are platforms like you can download a Coinbase app, or you can download Celsius or Paxful, and it's going to take you, it shouldn't take you more than 20 minutes to buy it. You can choose any of the payment methods you wanted. It's a lot easier to buy Bitcoin. It's harder when you buy Ethereum. It's easy to go buy Bitcoin and then trade that for Ethereum using any of the crypto-to-crypto exchanges. But if you do want to buy Ethereum outright, there are platforms like Celsius, which lets you buy up to $2,500 a day of Ethereum using your credit card. So like Amazon process, right? But yes, there is. I mean, it's not as easy as it should be. That's for sure. There is an opportunity out there to make it even simpler for people. But that's the issue with it. I mean, the simpler you make it, the more control you have to take away from the people. So you don't have to think about these extra things. And the more control you take away from people, the less the whole idea of crypto, you're going away from that idea. So I think we're going to have to reach a point where the people are educated about how, and that education phase is going to take time. Like we said, right, it's been centuries since we are living in a centralized world. It's not going to go decentralized overnight. It's going to go from centralized to semi-centralized, and then eventually decentralized. So we're going to have to put in the time and effort, I believe.
Yeah, true. Very right, Devan. Gary, your closing remarks for the show. Thank you.
I think we've got a lot of going through this digital transformation. Our lives have changed. Move into the digital world, democratizing opportunities is something that's new and remains to be seen how far it's going to spread. But I'm encouraged by the opportunity. So if people want to reach me, they can reach me on LinkedIn, Twitter. Send me an email, Gary@GSDVS. We're looking for incredible AI companies that want to go global, and we are the unicorn breeders.
Thank you, Gary. Thanks, Ivan. Thanks, John. Thanks, Arena. And founders, if you like to reach out to these great minds, you can always see them featured on our website, www.cloudtoken.com/profiles, or else you can directly reach out to them on their LinkedIn handle as well. Having said that, today is the weekend, and I wouldn't want our speakers to be hanging in for a longer time. So thank you so much for your commitment. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for sharing those insights. Take care. Have a safe, healthy weekend, because obviously we are going to celebrate Ivan and me Diwali over the weekend. And yeah, have a great weekend, guys, and see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Pleasure to be here. All the best.